So what's the Get Down?
Hip hop cultural lifestyle show.
This is Vincent M. Ward. What's the Get Down?
What's the Get Down? I'm Derico Jackson.
What's the Get Down? I'm Demetrius Gross. I'm an actor, writer, and producer. You may be familiar with some of my work.
Ooh, it's time, brother.
Time for what?
What's the Get Down? Episode 1.
Man, Midwest finest Vincent Ward.
Okay.
And he got a whole lot to say about, the BLM, the election.
We talk about that election, even your boy Kanye. I know how much you love.
How much I love Kanye.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what we doing.
There you go.
All right.
Walk through the garden.
See, Pastor here, he one of about 3 I like to give money to.
How you gonna clean my money?
We got accounts with some of the banks down there. Donations come in as cash. Cashier's checks come out. I ain't in order of pizza. Do I look like I was born yesterday?
But it is his room.
Get lost, kids.
What about you?
I ain't never pleaded for my life. And I ain't about to start now.
What it's like as a black actor is, we all stuck in the house. Can't go nowhere. You can't even audition in person. I mean, if anything, you can still do like video auditions. But I can tell that people are trying to make a change. Even like for my agent, they had a big Zoom meeting, all the actors and actresses, and we talked about what's going on right now, how to get more diverse in this industry, with producers and directors and everything, hair, makeup. It's hard for a black woman to go shoot a commercial, but a white lady who has never done a black woman's hair is doing her hair. Now this black woman is feeling funny when she see herself on that commercial because she's looking like she looking. So I think a lot of people are really and truly trying to touch what's going on in this world. And it's not about people kissing black people's butt. It's about giving us the same respect that you get. I want the same respect. I want the same opportunities. Why is it 10 white people in this movie and only 1 black actor? And maybe 1 black person behind the scene. I don't understand this. Why is this a quote unquote black movie, but you got a white director? I don't understand it. So you saying the white director can tell the story about black people? It's just like I did a movie before the pandemic last year. It was like last March, April. It was called Changing the Hearts of Men. It was about, the 50s, 60s. And I knew something was up with the director and producer. I knew it, I felt it. I could see it in her face. I'm like, something ain't right with this lady. Their money for the movie, they own restaurants, right? Maybe about 3 weeks ago, I get a text, and it was from one of my buddies who was on The Walking Dead with me. And he had actually auditioned for the same part that I got. And he said, did you see this? And it was an article about that lady. I went on Instagram and Will Packer was talking about the same lady. Now, remember I said she had restaurants. Everybody loved their restaurants. But when you look up, it's a huge Confederate flag in there. And right there, I was like, I knew it. I can tell by her vibe that this lady has if she ain't racist, she has some racism in her. She ended up taking the flag down. But they was about to lose all their customers. But in the same breath, it's just like, are you taking it down so you still get our money? Because you still believe in what you believe in. But I do appreciate her at least making that effort to take it down. I remember filming a movie in Atlanta. First day there, I got there after everybody else. First day there, they was shooting scene. I get there, you know, everybody, they stop and everybody, hey Vince, you know, welcome, good to see you, woo. Little white boy walk up to me. He probably be about maybe 9 or 10. He looks at me, he's like, they coming to get you, they gonna put you in jail. I didn't even think he was talking to me. They gonna put you in jail. So one of the actors like, well, why are you saying that to him? You know, why you haven't even said hi to him, you just said who's gonna put him in jail? He's like, the police. He walks away. When he walks away, he drops his toy. It was like a Rubik's Cube or something. But he had written on there, Rush Limbaugh is the greatest. I just looked at him. I said, you little bastard. I stared at him. Maybe a week later, we're sitting in a like a mobile home. And I'm just sitting there, I'm going over my lines in my head. This little boy came and slapped me in the back of the head. I was like, Lord, I'm gonna get one of my grandkids to come get him. I was so pissed. But guess what? His grandmama was the executive producer of that movie. And I knew something was up with her. And then when I saw her drive off one day, and she had the Confederate flag on her license plate. So she was the one that was putting all the money in there. Wasn't nothing I can do at that time. The movie was almost over. Now, if I was doing it, if I knew who she was and what she was about before I started, then it'd be a whole different story. I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have been part of that. Sometimes you gotta say no. All money ain't good money, but you gotta do what's right. You'll be rewarded and blessed later on. You don't have to take everything, you know. I would tell people to be professional. Don't come in there late. Don't come in there ghetto. Some people, like my friend Tasha Biltmore, she calls people local celebrities. People who did a couple little things and now they think the world's supposed to know who they are. If you can't handle the small stuff, how are you supposed to handle the big stuff? Acting the way that you acting. And just because it's quote unquote a black movie, don't mean you gotta be ghetto. Don't mean you gotta be late. Respect my time. Respect what I'm doing. Respect where I've come from. People can't seem to do that. And stop thinking just because you got a whole bunch of followers that you a star, that you a celebrity. No, you just know how to put on a better front than everybody else. You know how to make some people laugh. And for the black producers out there, stop putting these social media stars or whatever you want to call them on to lead your film. Just because they're funny on social media don't mean they know how to act. That's one thing that pisses me off, man. It pisses me off for me to get beat out by somebody who has more followers than me. But then once you watch them on TV or in a movie, they're horrible. But guess what? That's your fault. That's your fault because you was looking at that. So just come to the set ready, come to the set prepared, and don't waste people's time. Because then if you do that, if you're not being professional, then you're gonna give people a reason not to want to work with us. It's a lot of competition and you only get one shot to make it right. It's open, it's too open now. You know, back in the day, you only thought about like LA and New York. Now it's LA, New York, Chicago. Everybody is auditioning for the same thing. I remember one time somebody had told me, yeah, I saw that little part you got. A little part? You know what I mean? People had to beat out for that little part. And I ain't just talking about in that room, all around the world. Yeah, and the thing too is like if you know somebody that's gonna represent you right, that's gonna do right, and is gonna appreciate what you done, then throw their name out to these producers or these casting directors. This is like I was telling Smooth one time, I had hooked these dudes up, right? In a movie in Florida. And these dudes got there and embarrassed me, man. And people know these guys. They been on stuff. Embarrassed me. The producer, the executive producer hit me up. I'm glad it was cool. And she's like, Vince, these is here acting a fool. I said, what are you talking about? They up here cussing people out. They high, they drinking. And then she said, I think they doing some other kind of drugs because they is acting like mad men. And I was so embarrassed, man. It's like, why would you do me like that? You were so grateful. And they paid them nice for an independent film. They paid them more for that part than the people had paid me. I was like, and y'all acting a fool when y'all wasn't even at the house doing nothing? I don't get it. I'm not gonna embarrass somebody who hooked me up. I'm gonna keep on telling them I appreciate you, I'm grateful, and I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna do what I'm supposed to do. But I honestly feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I don't have no huge platform, but if I can touch one or two people, and they touch one or two people, and they touch one or two people, to me, that's what we're supposed to do. Especially if somebody asks you a question, be honest. Don't give the Hollywood political question. Give the real answer. You know, that's probably why my Instagram is hacked right now. It's hacked. Somebody got me. Was it you, Trump? But you can't be mad at me if that's the way I feel. If you're racist, guess what? That's the way that you feel. If you just believe in all lives matter, that's the way that you feel. I can't beat you up for it. I ain't no different from the next person. The one thing I hate is when somebody says, I'm your fan. I don't like that. Because to me, when you say I'm your fan, that puts me up here and puts you right here, when we all supposed to be right here. Maybe you're a fan of the shows that I've been on, or maybe you respect what I've done, but when people that be going crazy, oh, I'm your fan, it makes me feel kind of weird. And I don't like the word celebrity for the simple fact, just because you got 30 million followers, people think you're a celebrity. That's because you can make people laugh, people think you're a celebrity, and you ain't even a comedian. So I think that the word celebrity is kind of played out. So I'm just Vincent M. Ward from Dayton, Ohio before I'm any character that you see me play. And my goal is not to just be known as Oscar from The Walking Dead. My goal is to win an Oscar.
Yo, Vincent Ward, dog. That was a good choice for the first one. So going into this next segment, we gotta go St. Louis. What about world famous stylist to the stars, DeRico Jackson?
You know what? Yeah. Cause see, he just got that acclaimed credit for the Beyonce video King.
Yeah.
So let's tap into that, and then once we come out of that, we'll go ahead and we'll let the people know what the next situation is going to be.
Let's do it.
So I'm gonna start at the beginning because it's still kind of funny to me because when the video came out, I'm giving a hint right now. Like literally the next morning I got so many calls that people were like, oh my God, I saw the credit. Oh my God, Black is king. And I'm like, who? Black is what? Because I hadn't seen any of the trailers or anything, and when I got the job, it was still down as a hush project or a secret project. So I'm gonna start at the beginning and make you understand why, because people can't believe that I didn't know the title of the doggone video until y'all knew the title of the video. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, okay. I mean, it sounds crazy. I worked on it, but I didn't. So I get a call from my agent, and my agent is like, there's these people that called that are interested in using you for a video shoot. And I'm thinking, now, you know, Jamie, you know I don't do video shoots. I'm like, I have done my fair share of video shoots. I've done everybody's video shoots from Neo to Master P and everybody in between. And I've gotten to a point where I don't want to do these long drawn out, you know, shoots where you're gonna be on the video with all of these different people and all these women and all this different energy, and you're there all night long, like 5 a.m. until maybe about 2 or 3 a.m. the next day. I know it's a lot of people out here listening that can definitely relate, especially when I came here, you know, in the early 2000s, when we were making decent money for videos. Now, you know, with the way the market has changed, videos are not a thing. But anyway, I was like, well, you know, she was like, well, it sounds like it's gonna be a big deal because they won't tell me who the artist is unless you sign an NDA. And I think it's gonna be huge. I mean, I don't know who it is, but I'll do my research. So I'm thinking, well, what is this? And I was thinking the last time I did a video like this, which was only 2 years ago, I worked on Jay-Z's video, Smile, you know. So then here it is. My agent, she does her digging. We get back up to the story at hand. And she does her digging, and she comes back and she tells me the information about Miles J and about it being, you know, affiliated with Jay-Z video somehow, and she still hadn't got a name, but I kind of was itching, thinking. But so anyway, he called and he introduced himself, and he was like, you know, he said, I'm really a fan of your work. He said that was one of the most beautiful videos I've ever seen, and he was like, the hair was amazing. He asked me all these great questions, you know. Mainly he was screening me. When I did find out that it was Beyonce, I was like, what? I'm like, hell yeah, I will do a Beyonce video. Are you kidding me? So in my mind, I was thinking, well, Beyonce travels with 2 hairstylists, so I know I'm not gonna do Beyonce, but I thought I was gonna do the girl. You know, they were like, and you need to have some assistants. And I was like, how many people? They were like 15 to 21 people. So I was department head of that sector. Y'all, this video was huge. It took place in several different cities. It took place over several weeks. Like literally they was here one week and then they went to Miami to do another week. And I think it happened all of this was happening during the opening of Tyler Perry's studio. And I think she had to show up there before she could come here. And
you had to travel to all these different locations?
I didn't. They are a very well-staffed, well-oiled engine. They are a very equipped team. They have people everywhere. We had a team and film crew and directing crew right here in LA of our own. In every city and country that they did, they had their own. So I mean, like, she's been doing it though a long time. So I would have imagined that, you know. And literally they had a time to a dime. Like everything, you knew what time you were supposed to arrive. Dinner, breakfast was gonna be at this time. It was a fully catered breakfast. We had our choice of an open bar of breakfast. We got fresh made omelets.
So
we had waffles. It was a full on catering and craft services. We had coffee all day. We had snacks all day. We had wonderful locations. We did downtown in one of the studios, that whole voodoo black magic scene, where it looks like they were, in some swamp where the dude has a snake around his neck, was right downtown. So they literally had a wonderful creative team that made, that came in and created a fantasy, which is what Disney does, because they were also in bed with Disney. And in addition to that, I wasn't necessarily hired by Beyonce's team, but by the Directors Guild of Los Angeles. So I wasn't even sorted out by Beyonce's team. So literally it was like a whole conglomeration of all these things made into one, which is why it was such a huge event. Little did I know that it was even gonna be such a huge event. Like I said, I didn't even know the name of it, It was literally the Beyonce Africa Project, or something like that was the working title. And I didn't know the title of it until it was released. So it was just as amazing. Even though I worked on it and saw a lot of it I didn't see. So it was just as amazing to have that experience with everyone else at the same time, and get little glimpses and highlights of myself in the video, not me physically, but my work. There's a moment in the video I remember the most. Because for me it was the longest day, and we did it in this wonderful garden that I didn't even know existed somewhere in Pasadena. And it literally looked like the rainforest. It had plants that I'd never seen before in my life. It was like a jungle. It was amazing. And they had a florist fly in all of these live flowers that we decorated the kids with. So all of those kids that you see with flowers all over them from head to toe was literally our team, together collectively, because we had to do it real fast. So it was me and my two assistants, my sister Hope Lynn, I'm giving a plug here, and Devontae Washington. Those are my two right hands. And whenever I need help and they say we got a large crew, I know I can call on them too and depend on them to come and knock it out. It's like a battle. It's us against them. So literally, two of us will be at the camp knocking heads down, and one would be down there on the shoot, doing touch-ups until we were all done, until we had them all done. And I mean, literally, they were very specific. They would send the kids back if the flowers weren't right. And although they had a lot of creative people, once she arrived, and she being Beyonce, I realized that it was all her creative vision. And I mean, literally the respect level went through the roof, because I saw this woman in her element doing things outside of just being beautiful and just all around talented. But to tell A camera, let me, can I just see some dailies on an A camera, and can we do a wide range on B? And
so she was in charge of
like
the entire
she was
situation.
in charge. So she was directing the directors, you know, and I love that, because it's nothing worse than a boss not knowing the different jobs, that are being operated up under her jurisdiction. Because I feel like if you don't know the jobs that you give, then somebody can take advantage of you. But she's a businesswoman. And then to go from that to babysitting, because these kids, it was like, I mean, a good, dozen to 20 kids, and they're just all everywhere. Their energy is everywhere for 6 hours, because you hire kids in 6 hours at a time. So they're running back and forth, and they're getting impatient, and they're setting up lights, and they're trying to shoot these kids, and then they're trying to see which kids has it. And then kids are jumping and flipping, and they got flowers on it, and it's hot, and the flowers are wilting, and it was like really chaotic. But Queen Bee, or Queen Bay, comes up on the scene, and literally that motherly instinct came in, and I mean, but just a whole nother level of respect came in my heart, because literally she was like, the kids were talking, and she talked to each and every one of them, and one of the little boys was like, I want to take a picture for my mama. And she was like, you can take a picture for your mama, come on. And they all came up, and she was giving them hugs, and then when they got out of line, she was checking them too. And they was listening, to Miss Beyonce. And it was cute.
So that was on TV right there.
Yes, And they used a newborn baby in the video that she was holding. And to see the excitement of the mother of this child, you know, like, it was like everything for me, like just to have that type of power and to create that type of magic with your presence is amazing. You know, I'm always talking about the Rico magic, and I have to always say that's what it's about. It's about being able to make someone feel good about themselves any way that you can. And and literally Beyonce came in and she was all of that, and she did all those things. And then she did the camera thing, and she is incredible. Like when she sang that song and when she was looking into that camera, whether you were looking into the feed or whether you were looking directly at her, you were to the understanding that this woman really knows her thing. I mean, she knows her angles. She knows how to give the passion in her eyes.
So it wasn't a game as far as
she is a professional 100%. 100%. Nobody can ever take that from her.
Black is King, Beyonce, Rico Jackson. That's your people. He's from St. Louis, but that's your people.
Yeah.
How you feel about that?
I mean, for me, I've seen him do a whole lot of stuff. So it's always a crazy type of situation. Like I've seen him put a mohawk on a bald-headed person. So yeah, so I've seen him do a whole lot of like way out stuff. But this one right here, I think for him, you know, rates up high.
Yo, real talk.
Plus the Jay-Z situation, yeah.
Real talk, I was watching it and just going through the credits, because I actually knew a person that was on it, and then I saw his name like, yo! So that's dope for Rico, man. So moving on.
All right, what you got?
Let's take it to our nation's capital.
So you must be talking about Mr. Gross.
Mr. Demetrius Gross.
What's the Get Down? I'm Demetrius Gross. I'm an actor, writer, and producer. You may be familiar with some of my work, but for those of you who are not, you're fitting to find out.
So what's up with you and this code knocking and asking me to say my name at the door?
I don't trust you, motherfuckers.
What y'all trying to do?
Oh, you ain't heard? Best runner got cracked. Sent his young ass up to YA.
That's sad. Fuck they gotta do with me? Where the money at?
Fuck you being so disrespectful in my house for, cuz?
Nigga, this a dope house that you already disrespecting?
So bottom line is we short. So you gonna have to let us hold on to that.
Oh, yeah? Well, my people sitting right across the street from your mama house right now. Cause if I don't show up, they gonna show out.
You really wanna take it there?
You already took it there.
I'm Demetrius Gross. I'm from Washington, D.C., born and raised in the nation's capital, Chocolate City, AKA the Murder Cap, AKA the Button, AKA Dodge City, AKA Don't Come, AKA Crest Horn of the most powerful nation in the world. My first series was Justified on FX. Got to work with Timothy Oliphant and the great Michael T. Williamson, who is, shout out Michael T, he became a mentor of mine. And just a great brother, man, great man of God. Then from Justified, I got this role on this HBO show. At the time, HBO had just bought Cinemax. So it was like, I didn't know really what it was. I thought it was on Cinemax, I was like, all right. But then Alexa Fogel, who cast The Wire and who cast Oz, right? Oz was an amazing show. But we sit in a cafe. This is on location in like North Carolina. I think we were shooting that show. And she said, you know, you just got drafted to the Yankees, right? She said, you got drafted to the Yankees. I'm like, this is a TV show. But at the time, we didn't know, or I didn't know, that TV streaming, like the whole Netflix, HBO Go, that the world was moving more towards serial television. That the movies was popping and they was cool, but cats was getting into these series. I didn't know that. So I came out to LA I was working in New York. I was doing all these things thinking I want to be a movie star. And I still want to be a movie star, but at the end of the day, I didn't really realize that sometimes the television, or what we call television, the serial shows, like the writers take more leaps. The writing and the characters stuff is just a little bit more pushing the envelope. Yeah, I did a show called Banshee, and a lot of people are just catching on to that show. That show made Sam Jackson a fan. I met Sam Jackson at the Waco Theater that Tina Knowles Lawson and Richard Lawson threw, the Wearable Art Gallery. Shout out to Richard Lawson. And Sam Jackson rolled up on me and was like, hey, and we had a whole moment because he saw an episode I did on Banshee. And I was like, yo, where'd you see that? He said, you know that every time somebody turns 18, I get a new million fans who have not seen Pulp Fiction. I was like, wow, that's true. Because he said that in response to the fact that I was like, yo, you watch this? He was like, yeah, if it's in film, it's forever, right? So once you shoot it, you better love it. He told me, he said, he asked me, he's like, do you watch your own stuff? I said, yeah, I watch it. I'm always watching it, I learn it, sometimes I enjoy it. He said, good, because if you won't pay $10.99 to watch your black ass, how you gonna expect somebody else to spend $5 to watch you? Then I did a show called Game of Silence with Lorenz Tate. Now, you couldn't tell me nothing, right? Because I was on a show with O-Dog for minutes, bruh. And then the homie was cool. We kept up, we still cool. You know what I mean? And I found out later that, he's Lorenz Tate. They offered him the show. I had to audition like 5 or 6 times at Sony, naturally. When I was in the waiting room, I was waiting right next to Method Man, Johnny Blaze, Tikal himself. And he stood up and dapped me off, and he had a little glint in his eye like he recognized me from somewhere. I didn't know. But that was just all the confidence I needed to go to put my blinders back on, block out the Tikalian Stallion and then go in there and kill it. And I got the role. Then I did a show called The Brave that was on NBC. It's a war show. I get a lot of love from the service community, the men and women of the armed service. So shout out to the men and women of the armed service. Shout out to the men and women of the armed services. It's a funny thing. I've come to learn that, the United States military it has so much dichotomy, right? Because it's a place where there's some of the most severest, ugliest racism, and yet, on the flip side of that coin, is also a place where people really don't see color. And there are situations where you have blood brothers, blood sisters who may be from completely different backgrounds, and they will literally, give their lives to save their comrades. Obviously that stirs up a lot of emotions, but that show was really powerful. It's called The Brave. You can still see it on Amazon Prime. I played a character named Preach. Shout out to Dean Georgeris, who wrote The Manchurian Candidate. And he let me tinkle with my writing a little bit in the character, and that was powerful to have some input on what my character would say on a show that is on NBC and that was, that's now globally streaming. So that was powerful and a good encouragement. I started writing my own film right around that time. I started writing a film called Godfrey, which you can take a look at here. You can see a little clip of that. So I started getting into my writing, started producing stuff with my wife and my partner. Straight Outta Compton came around. F. Gary Gray, met him at a yoga party, right? Literally like a buddy of mine lives up in Topanga Canyon, and they do yoga and do all the natural foods and vegan and all that. And Gary was there with like his girlfriend at the time, a bad sister, right? Of course she's bad, it's Gary Gray. So I'm like, I walk over to him, and we the only bruhs in the spot. It was like me, him and his girl, and me and my girl, and the guy who was throwing it, right? Shout out to Aka. And I walk over to him and say, "Are you a director?" He looks at me and says, "Yeah, I make films." I said, "Your name is Gary Gray?" He said, "Yeah, I'm F. Gary. What's up?" It's like, "I'm an actor." It's like, I'm sure you get solicited all the time, but he gives me his cell. I send him the thing. Weeks later, months later, 6 months later, actually, like a half a year later, a buddy of mine, Rob Hardy was Will Packer's old partner over at Rainforest Films. He sends me an email. He's like, yo, they're doing this open call down in Watts for Straight Outta Compton. You should show up, you should pull up. So I'm like, hey. They asked me to read for Dre. And then they asked me to read for Suge. I wasn't neither one of them dudes, like not even close, right? But there was this dude who they renamed him in the movie named Rock, but apparently he was really an OG. There was a Crip who was that Eric Eazy-E was sort of tied to early on in his life. We cooked it up. The rest is history, literally, because we didn't even, that scene that was in the beginning of Straight Outta Compton wasn't even supposed to be the first scene of that movie. This summer, in August, HBO will release my series with them called Lovecraft Country, written by Misha Green, who wrote Underground. And Jordan Peele's producing, J.J. Abrams is producing. And that comes out in the middle of August on HBO. And then I helped kick off the 6th season of Fear the Walking Dead. And I won't tell too much about that. That's kind of a surprise. What I'm doing now, what's most important to me is being a father, being a family man, showing up for my kids, showing up for my wife. My biggest goal during this time is just to become a better man.
We have now completed the first episode of What's the Get Down?
Was there any doubt?
Hey, so what's coming up for the future?
Yo, these next episodes, I think everybody needs to tune in because we're gonna take you some places you never even really thought about.
I mean, what are we gonna talk about? We're gonna talk about some music?
And we're gonna talk about everything from music to arts to food to
hold up, you said food?
Sports.
Can we talk
everything.
some donuts at some point?
Man, look here.
You know my Get Down.
We're gonna get you some donut sponsorship, all right?
Thanks. I'm available.
We need to get you a donut AA class or something, but we're gonna work that out.
You cannot
Until
be a
the next
donut.
time.
You can't be a donut alcohol.
Yeah, I mean, you probably would eat it.
Yeah, but I need help.
All right.
Sorry.
So until the next time, what's the Get Down?
What's the Get Down?
I'm on that brainwash, full rollout, anonymous. Underplay the overplay, strategic, I promise. More dope brings more Negroes. Watch them heroes, pro lethal. Dream killers feast on people. Nubius in need, mine on the hunt. Paul Bear, sharp fluid, gates and piston bumps. No excuses, that's a sin. Back to the begin. Muscle memory, pseudo respect and revenge. Plays blindfolded, a bucket list with interest. Forgiveness, the shadows and mirrors who handle business. Legacy, all grind, no guest list. Land in jurisdiction, make your bread prejudice. For the purists and the tourists, Q sticky for ghetto jurists. Swing high, swing low, you forgot that we do this. Bank selection, smooth DR vibe. Underground icon, you have now been gentrified.